Our superintendent and Mrs. Susan Casement up to the front for that recognition.
Good evening. I would like to recognize, it's a big moment. We have so many wonderful things happening in our district, but it takes quality educators that are committed to a greater purpose. And tonight we're here to recognize educators who have decided intentionally to be committed deeply to the art and science of teaching. When you think about the National Board Certification, which we have 24 teachers who are currently recognized as nationally board certified teachers, and I think Susan Casement will speak to how that's probably tops in the area. And then you talk about our New York State Master Teachers who have been recognized on 12 different instances, and the number of those teachers will total approximately about 20 combined in the pipeline to get those recognitions as we move forward. It speaks to their level of commitment and passion. If you know about these designations, it's about content, pedagogy, it's about being a reflective practitioner, it's about knowing how to collaborate, but also having command of their content. And then you take the art and science of teacher and you meld of teaching and you meld them together. And our students are fortunate to be in the presence of these educators. Their commitment is admirable and worthy of emulation and certainly of recognition. So this is just our way to say thank you for your commitment, thank you for working diligently when nobody is working, and you're putting in the time and effort so you could be the best professional for our students, and it makes an incredible difference. So I tip my cap to you, and I'm grateful and honored to be serving alongside of you and all the work that you do. Susan Casement, our Fairport Educator Association President.
Thank you. Tonight we're honored and delighted to salute our members that are acknowledged for teaching excellence. I wish to thank the Board of Education, Brett, Doug, and the administration for their support and for the recognition of the accomplishments of these teachers. In fact, as Brett mentioned, Fairport has been recognized for having one of the largest contingents of honorees, and we are grateful to the board for acknowledging their efforts. I had 27 and counting National Board Certified, I don't know. Teachers, all ambassadors of teaching excellence, congratulations. Know your FEA colleagues are proud of your achievement, and we're delighted to salute each of you. Attaining the National Board Certification is an incredible accomplishment. We understand the process took vigor and determination, scholarship, and grit. Research shows that the National Board Certification benefits students in the classroom, which is what the honor is all about. You have that gold medal in classroom practice, and we on your team are honored to follow your lead. Also, the New York State Master Teacher Program is a network of more than 800 public school teachers throughout the state who share a passion for STEM learning and for collaborating with colleagues to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders. So we are proud of our colleagues that have been given this honor. These respected teachers had a voice in their professional development and advanced knowledge of STEM, pedagogy, and students and their families and their communities. Thus, the entire district and community benefit from the efforts of these award-winning teachers. So, to all our National Board Certified and New York State Master Teachers, congratulations. We admire your talent and your academic strength, and we stand proud to call you colleague. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Yeah, no names.
What's that?
No
No names or?
They were supposed to be. Okay.
No, we don't have names.
There was a list of them, and we didn't. Yeah, so I thought they were going to be projected. But
Does any?
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge.
so those wonderful educators that are here, please come forward. We'll get a nice picture photo op. Thanks, Mark.
That would have been nice.
Okay, that feels better now, right? So do we have our student, Madison Kelly, here? Yes, advisor?
Yep, I see Madison back there.
Right. Push, make sure the blue light's on.
There we go.
There
Okay.
you go. Very natural.
First up, I just want to apologize for my tardiness. There was an emergency at work, so I ended up having to go in. But
I gotta know, where do you work?
Alex and Ani and Victor,
Yeah.
the little jewelry place.
Absolutely.
It's fun. All right, so obviously this time of year, we're starting to get to winter, which for me is not my favorite, but hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But obviously the season change does bring about some different emotions for people, so I have noticed that a little bit walking through the hallways. People don't seem as friendly, people don't seem to be quite as happy, and whether that be that they had to wake up earlier to brush the snow off their car, or, you know, just looking at the snow when they wake up, that's definitely been playing into a little bit of people's emotions. But also people are excited for the holiday festivities and Thanksgiving next week, which is my favorite holiday of the year, so I'm excited and looking forward to it. And also the fall plays this weekend as well, which I am not a part of, but I'm very excited to go see and support. I know that people have been working very hard on it, and I know that it's going to be a great production, as it is every other year at FHS. And also, there's a Downstage show coming up, which I am a part of. I'm the captain of Downstage, which is our school's comedy improv team. So that show will be December 13th, which I'm looking forward to. And that should be a great night. And also, there was a senior trip that just took place. I unfortunately wasn't able to attend that, but from the sounds of it, everyone had a great time. The Blue Man Group was a hit, which is good. And that just makes me happy to know that people were able to go and bond and come together a little bit, especially since it's senior year. And then also in my leadership class, we've been doing presentations on the upcoming 2020 election. So we all were put into groups and told to research a possible candidate, which to me was very enlightening because you were able to hear about different positions that people have. And that's been a big talk in the school, is this upcoming election, which I think is important for seniors as well, that we'll be able to vote next year, which is crazy, but very exciting. So that's just kind of my mini recap, but thank you all for all you do, as always, and very nice to talk to you all again.
Thank you. It's probably wise to, be late at this meeting sometimes, right?
So you were on time.
Yes. Maybe. So, President's reports, I have to admit, I debate this, which end to start. I have some nice things and a sad one. I start with the good ones. I mean, we attended, right, the NISBA conference. We haven't had our get-together yet, and sharing, I always look forward to that, eggnog and cookies. But we need to probably get that on the calendar, what it is we learned, the sessions we attended. I know we've had multiple and still have at least one tomorrow night, right, the stakeholder groups with the capital projects. So we have that tomorrow, or is that the final one, or is there still a couple others? Final one tomorrow night.
I meet with PTA on Thursdays.
Oh, okay, and the PTA, you're right.
That's 6:30 at Brooks Hill.
Brooks Hill, right. Coming up on Thanksgiving week, we always do have much to be thankful for. On the sad note, as you all know, we had a sudden and tragic loss of a student in late October. In trying to navigate comments, I speak from personal experience in the sense that this was a close friend of my son's. And the gratitude I feel, though, is because of, indeed, why I felt earlier that I needed to stand out for the people that we've hired, is the response that this district puts out there. So experiencing that personally, I'm very grateful that the arms of love were wrapped around my son. And knowing, though, greater peace, because I don't want to be so selfish as my son, the family that's impacted by the sudden and tragic loss of a son is one that will be ongoing for weeks and months and perhaps years, right? And that this district is up to the task of making sure the needs are being met of the other children in the family, other child, and those associated. And so there is much to be grateful for. I know that they're going to need a lot of love and wrapping around, and the services that we experience day in and day out by our staff, who who are willing to set aside what seems to be the common wisdom out there that we need to perform well on tests and say, no, there's other needs of a student that need to be met first. And seeing that happen, I know then we'll be successful in whatever our endeavors are. So as we go into Thanksgiving week, I express my gratitude to Brett, you, your administrative team here, sitting here, and then all of our staff, teachers, paras, bus drivers, mechanics, building and grounds, individual, all of them who indeed work tirelessly to make this district the great that it is, and working tirelessly to make it better, right? Because we do have strategic initiatives, and I'm grateful that that effort is ongoing, that we are not resting on our laurels. So thank you to everyone. I hope everyone does enjoy a great Thanksgiving week. With that, Brett, we'll pass the baton to you for the superintendent's report. Is this where you?
Good evening once again. I want to start off, and I think it dovetails on what President Peter Forsgren, Board President Peter Forsgren was just talking about, is how much we appreciate and we're grateful for all the efforts of our staff. This week happens to be our school-related professionals day. It was actually today, but all week we've been sharing it, and we've been using our social media to celebrate the approximately 400 members that we have in our organization that support the teaching and learning that takes place. And Peter was mentioning the cleaners, the school nurses, the buildings and grounds, cafeteria crew, transportation department, our paraprofessionals, our secretaries, our crossing guards, those who impact education and make us be the best that we could be. We say thank you, and we honor and we're grateful that they're part of our mission and vision, and they embrace it wholeheartedly. You know, I want to dovetail on this idea of cultural competency. You know, community member Mr. Wynn was speaking from his perspective, and you know, I'm really proud of the efforts, and I'm also proud of the fact that you know we have these ideas, and the board is saying ideas aren't good enough. You know, how do we measure our progress? How do we know that what we're doing is making a difference in the classroom, in our hallways, in our school community, and so that's why we're talking about what's our benchmarking, what's our progress, and our goals this year is establishing expectations and developing voice. And you know, today I was at FHS, and there was a group of girls meeting called Girls on Fire. There was 25 girls meeting with a number of staff members, again, talking about how can we continue to enable voice and empower. Leanna Watt leads that initiative. Don Monticelli, you know, has a monthly podcast where he talks about resilience, and again, giving students the opportunity to tell their stories. And that's part of this idea of developing and establishing our expectations. We have a diversity council that's forming that supports the board's vision and mission. We have a Families of Color group. Now it's called Lead by Example. And we're proud of the work that we're doing there to have people come together and tell their stories. Community circles will be coming in the winter and spring, where families are going to be invited to Fairport and talk about their experiences and what it means to be in the community, so we can learn and be better from each other. We have the Dream Club here at FHS, which, by the way, on Friday, we're going to be at Rock to Change. And that's going to be at Monroe 2 BOCES. Pittsford is sponsoring it. We are sponsoring it in the fall of next year. At this time will be our opportunity to sponsor Rock to Change. But it's, you know, communities from all over the county. There'll be hundreds, if not thousands, of students there talking about this idea of access, equity, and diversity. And I'm proud of the fact that we've been doing it for years, and but we're continuing to enable that. Developing capacity and mindsets, that's another goal. I'm really proud of the fact that in our buildings, each one of our buildings, we are having focused conversations around access, equity, and diversity, trying to build momentum. Now, it's not a one and done. This is going to be an ongoing process. We're in year one. We're going to continue to build upon it, but as an organization, we're committed to telling or establishing this mindset, embracing access, equity, and diversity as a school community, and we'll continue to build that. Our PD matrix that I've been sharing with the board, you'll see that there's all sorts of opportunities to dive into the concepts and ideas behind cultural competency. And we talk about the Ithaca Conference. We will continue to be a part of that. A group of administrators in the fall went to a conference specifically focused on cultural competency, where these were assistant principals who went. Principals went to the summer. We had the assistant principals go to the fall retreat at their national conference. When we talk about knowing our students, we try to make that part of the process of, that's what good quality teaching is. Evaluating district and building policies, data analysis. We're starting to develop our as-is statement, disaggregating Fairport data, so we truly understand where we are and how we are recognizing access, equity, and diversity as an organization. We're going to be surveying the school community as we move along the year, and this will be a part of our retreat in the summer, but we're starting to prepare for that right now with our as-is statement, so we can set the expectations for next year on this imperative. Curriculum management, we need to, as we write curriculum, make sure that our curriculum reflects access, equity, and diversity, and that would include our course guides, the curriculum, the books that we're reading, the materials that are part of how we're engaging with our students. Reimagining HR with a complete HR webpage overhaul, cultural competency training for participants who are on interview committees, establishing stronger partnerships with local area colleges, especially those who have teacher colleges. We're also going to be reaching out and visiting diverse teacher candidate populations that are outside of Rochester and possibly outside of New York State as well. Assistant Superintendent for HR, Mr. Dougloff, will be talking to the board about this in the very near future, and we're going to be participating in teacher recruitment days in Central New York and Buffalo area, so again, we can increase our candidate pool. And we're also looking at programs to engage students, sort of like today's students, tomorrow's teachers, but that's no longer with us. We're looking for another program so we get students who are young, interested in teaching profession, and help them discover the world of teaching and hopefully come back and teach in Fairport. And reinforcing expectations in athletics. At some point we'll be talking about how we're doing that, how we're being leaders in that realm as well. So I'm really proud of the efforts that we're engaging in and the work around this world imperative. Our strategic plan is definitely in motion. We are on the cusp of a capital project, which we'll be talking about later on this evening, but the board has been busy with the facilities planning team this morning, and I'm going to ask, Mr. Sliz, why don't you jump in and talk a little bit about what we did this morning? I know you're...
The committee was, we came to the high school today, we toured the pool, but we toured the underneath of the pool. I toured about 20 years ago, and in the 20 years I've seen significant deterioration of the walls of the pool, just everything that is necessary to run the two pools that we have, because we have a diving pool which is separate from the main pool. It just to look at it, it's way past its useful life, and that is an area that we need to look more closely at. How do we deal with this going into the future? Many of our neighboring districts have aquatic centers, and just storage is an issue. The fact that water is leaking out through the tiles in the pool because the sealant is now deteriorated because of the chemicals in the pool. And that's just one of thousands of areas in the district that we're going to be looking at just from a facility standpoint, because all of our facilities, this in Northside Dudley are the newest buildings. And on the wall downstairs, we saw that March 15th, 1971 was the date that the first person went in the pool. So that tells you how old that is. So it's going on 50 years.
So I guess the point is, there's a strategic plan, strategic initiatives, and these are the things that we're doing to accomplish it. The board will be approving budget goals for 2020, 2021. Within those budget goals, you're going to see be extremely intentional by allocating up to 1% of our budget towards supporting our facilities, and really proud of that work. And it's a reflection of our priorities that the board set forth. Analytics for our Fairport Forward, Foundations for the Future. We're getting the word out. We're doing our best to get the word out. What I am finding out is no matter how much and how hard you're trying to get the word out, you're always falling short. We've released a video why we are reimagining our schools. We've had about 1,300 playthroughs, people touching it. I don't think I could do that in one night in the auditorium. Impressions, 20,000 people saw this as an impression. 8,900 views on Facebook, complemented the 19 shares. So we're getting the message out. That video has been circulating. The recent one we just released this past week to date has 276 playthroughs. They're hearing the message. 1,500 impressions, meaning they saw it and they were all around it, and 6 shares. It's important that we get the message out, try to do it in many different shapes and forms. The website traffic, we have over 1,000 visits this week. Of the 1,000 visits, nearly 70 of them came from our social media efforts. 70% came from our social media efforts. The average time on the website jumped to 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which says that people are looking and they're reviewing and they're thinking about it. In short, traffic has doubled and had a large jump on this site.
Brett, what are we doing for our residents who don't access the
That's where you always try to reach out to them. We have the commentator. We're trying to get to the PTAs, the Parrington Community Center. Tomorrow there's a meeting with the Fairport Village Merchants as well. So we're just trying to get it out there as much as we possibly can. And we have the 2 community meetings. We had one last Wednesday. I think about 60 people showed up. And tomorrow night we'll have another one at Brooks Hill beginning at 6:30. We're getting the communications out.
What room in Brooks Hill?
That will be in the cafetorium, I believe. So as soon as you walk in, you'll be able to see it. Thank you. I really think, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. We've been talking about Dr. Ken's Ginsburg, his 7 C's, how do you build resilience in children? And I know that all of our schools are grappling with this idea. How do we be the best for our students? How do we build stamina and resilience in them? And Ginsburg talks about competence, character, control, contribution, confidence, connection, and coping. And I'm really proud of the fact that the Board of Education believes this, intuitively believes this. We didn't need to bring Ginsburg in to do this. But, however, in our programming, it's a reflection of what we're trying to build, especially that connection, that confidence, that competence piece in this next section, which is going to speak for itself on our investment in clubs and activities. The Board of Education intentionally invests in clubs and activities to the note of approximately $350,000 per year. And it speaks volumes, and this is just a flavor of what clubs means, and it speaks for itself.
Fairport's goal is to cultivate creative, healthy, caring, and critical thinkers who participate in and contribute to a diverse society as ethical citizens. Our extracurriculars attempt to engage the students in all kinds of activities to enable this development.
Our clubs benefit our students because it gives them an opportunity to delve deeper into some of their interests outside of school. It also gives students the time to connect with other students from outside of their own classroom, across different grade levels, and feel like an even bigger part of our school community.
In a school environment, it's not always, the most comfortable for students that are gay or that are trans. And so having other students like us and other students that we know support us around and being able to talk about those things in a comfortable environment is really important for students mental health-wise, education-wise, and just in general.
I think that clubs give you a sense of community, especially Dream Club, and
Clubs here also give you the opportunity to find your interests as well as people who share the same interests as you.
I think clubs are important to students because it gives them a space to get together with other like-minded people who are interested in the same topics they're interested in.
I think clubs are good because if a kid wants to do more art, maybe they can do it with the club and see how it goes for them to see if they could get an extra bit.
We at Fairport value the whole child. And what I do in class as a chemistry and physics teacher is invest in their cognitive development. But we also have to invest in their athletic development, their musical development, their emotional development. And the clubs and activities that we have for kids help broaden them as people and make them better citizens.
These clubs and activities, all of the extracurriculars, impact the degree to which the students feel connected to each other and to the community. That affects their sense of self and their mental health. And those benefits that they derive don't just occur now. The ability to collaborate, to connect, to work, those things affect their success and their happiness over the course of their entire lives.
Thank you, Board, for that inspiration. Thank you, Christina Gerstlin, for putting that all together. We'll be posting this on our social media sites as we move forward, so thank you.
Well done, thank you. Cultivating stars right here on the board. Okay, Mr. Stevens, our Treasurers and Investment Update.
Yes, good evening and thank you. Tonight we have the Treasurer and Investment Update for the month of September 2019. We had a beginning general fund cash balance of $37.9 million, receipts during the month of $16.7 million, primarily related to state aid and taxes, and disbursements in the month for $10.6 million, to bring an ending general fund cash balance to $43.9 million. Of the $43.9, approximately $31.4 is invested in a mix of treasury bills, CDs, and cash sweep accounts, which is about 71% of the total general fund cash balance. Trending a little bit higher than prior year as a whole, but right on track for the school year. Thank you.
I've got a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, when I was looking at this in the general fund, the receipts, it says town of Parenton. Am I assuming that that is
Taxes.
the school taxes?
Mm-hmm.
And that was only the $8 million.
About $8 million, yep.
Okay, and
Yep,
the rest
so that
is coming in the installments?
Keep on coming, yep. So
The
what,
October,
what
November.
happens is, as folks pay their taxes throughout the year, has to clear, before the town of Perrington issues the check off to the district. So once it's cleared, it'll come to the district. So October will be a larger month. I think we had 15 million, we had higher payments during October versus September.
Some of us wait till the very last day.
Oh, yeah, which is the 30th of September. I know, I know. I just wanted to make sure, because it said town of Parenton, I just wanted to make sure that that's what that was.
Yes.
Thank
yep.
you.
Yeah, so October and a small payment in November, we'll see, but then after that, it gets paid off in April from the county.
Great, thank you.
You'll actually see that it's in the consent calendar, the tax summary,
tax
what was
summary,
pushed
right.
off to the,
Right.
right to the county.
Which we are always made whole.
Yes. Any other questions for that? Great, thank you. Then we move on to the consent calendar, where we have our meetings, or minutes of our various meetings, the actual treasurer's report, the tax summary just mentioned, if you want to see, right, hopefully you've looked at that, but you'll see the almost 6.7 million, I guess, that has gone to the county now. So with that, I need a motion to approve the consent calendar. Judy, second. Joyce? All in favor?
Aye.
6, or any opposed? 6-0. Personnel actions. First on the agenda is instructional actions. Motion to approve the instructional, or
So moved.
Tim, second. Marty? Questions or comments? No? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-0. Athletics. Need a motion to approve the list of athletic items? Marty? I'll second that. Any questions or comments? No? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? 6-0. Non-instructional and civil service. Motion to approve. Marty, second. Joyce? Questions, comments? None? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? 6-0. And then a memorandum of agreement. Motion to accept the memorandum. Judy, second. Joyce, do you have questions about this? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-0. Okay. Capital Improvement Project presentation. I take it Brett's going to lead that? He jumped right up. No? No? This one you could pull up on your iPad though, too.
You know, one of the, Mr. Sliz was asking, how do we get the word out? And we talk about, this has been a topic of conversation for the past year. And we've been able to talk about it frequently, if not, majority of the, sessions over the past year and our workshops as well. And I know these are recorded, and I think it's important that we recognize that, again, this has been a process. We haven't just showed up here. This has been an ongoing conversation. It's tied to our strategic plans and our district advisory council, where over 3,000 community members had an opportunity to interact and give us their feedback and share their expectations for our schools. Tonight, we're talking about the fruits of that work. Because 107 individuals through our district advisory council processed that 3,000 bits of information that we received, and we're able to synthesize our strategic initiatives that the board put forth. And the community response was resounding, and we're very proud of that. We have a good sense of what the community's expectations are, and tonight we're going to review the scope of the work, the project facing, and the estimated tax impact around the capital improvement project that focuses on educational programming, facilities planning, and fiscal sustainability. All of these ideas are embedded in this plan. And the whole purpose of our project throughout this entire process was to maximize state building aid through project phasing. We learned that we can't do it all in one shot, and it's important that over the next several years we get on a consistent cycle, and our projects become transparent and consistently implemented, so we don't have these big budgets when it comes to capital projects, because we have an obligation to protect our facilities and be on a plan so people could see it from multiple years out. And we want to minimize and manage the impact on teaching and learning. The amount of work that needs to be done is considerable, but we have a phased approach. We've been working with our partners through LaBelle Associates and Campus Construction to bring these ideas to fruition. Our community has said that educational programming, safety, technology, and facilities are priorities. And you can take this concept of educational programming, safety, and technology and wrap it up into this facilities conversation and see how they all intertwine and interact. So we feel like we have an imperative, a mandate from our community. Our community also says it's important to upgrade our facilities. It's important to manage our facilities so our programming can match what we're trying to accomplish, and our buildings can support what our programming is trying to accomplish. Another piece is this improved reputation. Many people have been saying that our schools are important to the community. They add value to the community. As a result, we should have facilities that we're proud of, that when people come and visit or when they're looking for housing, that there's curb appeal. We hear that considerably through our process with our district advisory council and as we've been planning our facilities. This plan reflects that. Mr. Stevens is going to talk to us about the timeline.
Okay, good evening. Here, we've seen the timeline that, as we put on the screen, it has all the dates listed. So in an effort to try to just show a quick summary, kind of talk about some of the milestones of capital projects, vote timeline through design phase to bidding and construction itself. So you can see December 10th is our upcoming public vote on the referendum itself, on the proposition. If approved, then it's approximately a year where there will be the schematic design phase, as well as, getting more into the detailed design work before it can be submitted to the State Education Department. So it's approximately a year, winter of 19 following vote, through the winter of 20. So talking into the next, about a full year's time there for the SED approval process. And I think approximately, 4 months, 4 or so months in terms of SED, review, comments back and forth to ensure that those documents, the construction documents themselves, are reviewed and approved by SED. Upon SED approval is when the district can then bid out the work itself. So bid date in 2021, approximately the spring through fall of 20 following bidding and anticipated contract award would be the construction time period. So you can see stretching, approximately over 3 summers, the work itself before, bid to full construction is the phasing that Mr. Provenzano talked about as well. Summers are typically the high months because buildings are empty. However, there still could be some phasing of work during the school year in working with the different buildings, as Brett mentioned, about trying to minimize some of the impact on teaching and learning, but there might be areas that can be completed during the school year. So that overall is the timeline of capital work. There's a lot of pieces that need to be followed before construction actually can begin and then go through the 3 summers. So the next piece, I try to break this information out and show it a little bit different way. This is the work itself in the different categories we've talked about for science and technology, our flexible learning environments, PE and site improvements, physical education and site improvements, safety and security, as well as building code compliance, and then infrastructure and building condition survey related items. So up here you see this broken down with dollar amounts for each building to equal the total budget itself. So you can see a percentage of 29.8% allocated to science and technology and learning environments, approximately 19.6% related to the physical education site improvements, multi-purpose fields as well for athletics and PE that we talked about, those 2 areas at Jefferson Ave for the parking lot reconstruction and design for safety and for health and safety, and then the multi-purpose fields at Fairport High School. And safety and security, each building, we talk about some of our secure entrances fall within there. You can see the pieces for each building there, across for about 16.2% of the total project budget. And then the infrastructure building condition survey, those would be boiler replacements, code compliance for, or some of the infrastructure for HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning areas, and so forth. And go ahead.
The reason for this slide is, through multiple presentations, this is what community members have been asking for. So, so this is the first time we've seen this, so we could see it, how it's divided up. Multiple different presentations yielded the same question, even through my PTA tours and, of course, through our community forum. So this is what it looks like broken down and, and where the priorities lie in this project. Sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you. So you can see, again, the breakdown between each building and category for the entire project. How that looks in a pie graph, overall, you can just, we can see the percentages broken down here. Same as the previous slide, just kind of broken down, and you can see it's, as you look through it, it's, fairly divided amongst the different areas. In infrastructure BCS, not a surprise to see that as highest percentage. That's the work that the school district does every 5 years, a building condition survey as mandated by the state, and it helps develop projects for schools. That's what schools across the entire state.
And if you think about how this came across, I think it's pretty fascinating when you look at this, because it was all about the BCS, right? And the majority of the work here is the BCS. We're all about the learning that occurs, and we know that learning occurs, in the the science technology area, creating the modern learning environments, and we know that the PE stations and the athletic fields are also classrooms. I'm really proud of how that sort of just naturally came to fruition. So it was great to see this in a pie chart, and it sees your values sort of reflected on here from a facilities planning perspective.
Thanks. Yep. Okay, do you want to go? Okay. Breakdown of the different initiatives within this capital project proposal. Energy efficiency, as you talked about before, boiler replacement, bathroom upgrades throughout the district, curtain wall upgrades over at Minerva DeLand, water coolers with the bottle filler. Just a lot of different initiatives and efforts within the capital project itself to improve efficiencies as a whole. Our directorate digital controls for our heating, ventilating, automation pieces as well help manage efficiencies. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Great job. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. And as we continue to move on, I know Facilities Planning Committee is really looking at, how do we, be conservation minded? How do we continue to build upon, thinking green? And we will be talking about this more as we move forward, but this was something that the board has, subtly said that this is a priority as we move along, and it's becoming clearer and clearer that this is where they want to continue to build upon with future projects, but it's built into this project as well. By building, you'll see that infrastructure improvements are being made with our safety enhancements, with emergency lights, strobes, heating, smoke detectors, HVAC, ventilation when appropriate, boiler replacements in every single one of our buildings, except for Brooks Hill, because Brooks Hill already had a boiler put in 4 years ago that needed to be replaced. The safety and security audit that we did last year was a comprehensive audit. It included Monroe County Sheriffs and the Fairport Village Police working with the users in each building, deemed that this was a priority and this was a best practice for these vestibules, which are industry standard. It's creating another layer in our buildings so staff who are working can really get a sense of who's coming. Instead of having people just come on in and enter our schools, we needed to slow the process down. And again, it's an industry standard and best practice. The building code improvements will be part of the project related to our infrastructural upgrades that are occurring. And you'll see that Dudley and Northside is a little bit more simply because of the, we're taking a look at the health offices and the main office and trying to incorporate them into one area like they are in the other buildings. And JA has the site improvement with a bus loop, which is a definite safety priority of taking the bus loop and separating it from the parent-student drop-off and faculty use. And so having two separate areas is a best practice. Definitely from a liability perspective, it's a best practice, and we're excited to continue that work at Jefferson Avenue, Brooks Hill, Northside Dudley, Martha Brown, and the high school have these same configurations where you separate buses from the cars and students. At Johanna Perrin Middle School and Martha Brown, you'll see the infrastructural upgrades. We have buildings there that need renovation. In their technology wing at Johanna Perrin, we'll be revamping that space, opening that space up, making it conducive to the learning that takes place in technology classrooms in the modern era. We'll have a toilet room renovation at Johanna Perrin Middle School. At Martha Brown, at JP, we'll also be doing the security entrances that will be occurring in all of our buildings, with the exception of Fairport High School, because they already have the secure entrance. At Martha Brown, science classrooms will be renovated. I believe in total there's 27 classrooms being renovated throughout the whole project. And again, that speaks to the priorities of putting the dollars where our students and teachers are, and where their learning takes place. In Martha Brown, we'll see the science classrooms, toilet room renovations, infrastructural upgrades, and safety and security. Minerva DeLand, this will be our last opportunity to receive building aid on Minerva DeLand. The curtain wall, that's the outside of the building. That's about airflow. The bricks and the mortar need to be worked on, upgraded. We do plan on using that facility as we move forward. The board has expectations that that facility, as we continue along, once it does get repurposed, that we rent it, find suitable users to use that building. So we need to protect that investment and make sure that we're managing it. There'll be a boiler replacement and a security entrance as well at Minerva DeLand. Fairport High School, a majority of the work is occurring at Fairport High School. You'll see $37.6 million of work, cafeteria, kitchen renovations. If you see the cafeteria, it's the same cafeteria that many people have experienced who are graduates of Fairport High School. It's the same cafeterias that have been a part of the school since 1970. Right now they're closed in and they're fixed environments. We envision a cafeteria where we'll be opening up space and giving students an opportunity to engage in a comfortable, welcoming environment. Our staff will have sight lines so they could see and monitor and make sure everybody is healthy, welcome, and engaging in their cafeteria experience. When this cafeteria is not in use, we envision it, staff and students to use it for different purposes. This idea of having a flexible open space is definitely behind this configuration. 2 weeks ago, we met with students and got their ideas on what they would like to see, and this will evolve as we move through the design phase. You'll see that we also envision opportunities for students who don't want the noise of the cafeteria, students who want to meet with staff in between periods or come and get some extra help in math. I see Mr. Young back there, to support the learning that takes place. So I'm trying to make it flexible for those who are using it. There'll be science classrooms right above the cafeteria. There are science classrooms, and I think it makes perfect sense from a phasing standpoint to renovate the science classrooms. We'll continue to work with our classroom teachers who are impacted by that. So as we enter the design phase, we can really narrow the square footage down and give them classrooms that are parallel with SED science standards and lab standards, so they have a comfortable, welcoming, engaging environment to practice the art of teaching. Right now, they do an incredible job with facilities that are less than adequate. Looking forward to seeing that develop. There'll be new corridor finishes and lockers, team room upgrades. The Board of Education, Marty Cardona, Tim Sliz, and Damon Buffum, who are on the Facilities Planning Committee, toured these areas today, particularly the team rooms. Yeah. I mean, speak.
1971.
Right. Enough said, right, Mrs. Cardona? Yeah. Yep.
Definitely needs attention. It was scary.
Little TLC. So we'll be touching those up as part of this project. Replacing electrical distribution panels. Again, air handling units. These are mechanisms that will support efficiency, airflow. The gymnasium will be also upgraded. That gymnasium is used year-round, and whether it's testing or basketball, during the off seasons, all teams are using that. All students are using it, so we're looking forward to upgrading the gymnasium as well.
A lot of the air handling is new industry standards that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So once you break it into a wall or you start renovation, New York State law says you have to upgrade. So that's why a lot of that is, you'll see that in all the buildings.
Here's a piece that we've developed over the past several months is the athletic fields, the multi-purpose field that we're currently using right now. It's past, or it's at its useful life. That needs to be upgraded or maintained. And then we have the new facility that is a baseball field and softball field respectively. And you also see that there's a design for another field hockey, lacrosse, soccer. So in the off seasons that, the sports teams are not using these, the spring sports teams are not using these, other groups will be able to participate. PE, we envision will have another workstation if they so choose to get out there. But I think an important statistic that we've learned throughout this process, this area back here, over a 10-year period, 40% of the games have been canceled, right? That's over a 10-year period. It's just not the last 2 years. But, you know, that was sort of, it makes you pause and think that we could do better. We could provide more access to those fields. We could provide an environment that's a consistent environment back there, not so dependent upon the weather. We've been meeting with the residents, and we will continue to learn from them. Their priority is water maintenance, making sure that we protect the environment around it with not taking trees down, or preserve, I should say, the environment with the trees. So definitely learning from them as we move through this process. And here's another view of that.
Okay, thank you. And now we're at the overall project. The overall project budget and summary. So the project itself, proposition proposals for a total of $56.75 million. You've seen the totals that were on a previous slide, just summarized here by building for the total cost of budget at each building as a whole. So again, the $37.6 million at the high school, you see is the largest portion related to the work there for science, technology, fields, boiler work, and so forth. And then each other building, Joanna Perrin, Minerva, Martha Brown, and the numbers broken down there. Big piece of it in terms of the project phasing is to be sure that we work to maximize state aid, and that involves us reviewing our cost allowances in place by the state, ensuring that the phasing of the work over time still maximizes aid. For example, there was some work at Northside Dudley related to the site work. Remember the parking lots we did there? So that's why you may see a little bit less work at Northside Dudley as well, because it's all in the balancing and phasing of the capital project work for building aid purposes as well.
And the high school numbers, the main driver was the consolidation of the Minerva Deland School to the high school in order to get the high school ready so you could bring that whole other grade over that needed to be done.
Yeah, a piece of it, but also the work itself is also work that has been found in with building condition surveys, the science classrooms. We know the science classrooms have outdated, required upgrades. So any of that work is still, work that can be done in and of itself as well. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, that's why, the project is called Foundations for the Future. This work needed to happen anyway. As we continue to move forward and we're on that path, we will build upon the work that needs to be done to actually, but it's baseline. It's, that number is work that is, we'd be doing anyways, we would be advocating for.
But does help prepare for that step as we talk about the cafeteria being, one of those pieces, and science classrooms and everything, over in those phases. So it does a little bit of both. The breakdown of the project, so just a new look at the numbers itself. So we've received some feedback and try to show the information a little bit different way. The overall project cost, not to exceed budget itself, is $56.75 million. The district's proposing to utilize $7 million from the capital building reserve to bring the net cost as a whole to $49.75 million after capital reserve. And how that gets broken out is for reconstruction projects, New York State provides building aid to school districts over a 15-year period. So it's not if I've heard some feedback that, what about when we get all that money up front? We don't get all the money up front. The aid comes over a 15-year period. So the district itself plans for debt over the same 15-year period to align debt with building aid. So here's how it looks. The principal itself, the district would borrow $49.75 million. The estimated interest on that $49.75 over 15 years is $14.3 for a total debt service of $64 million. The state building aid estimate is $48.8 million. Somebody may say, well, how come it's $48.8 if you're only borrowing $49.7? The state aids districts on principal and interest payments, and it's amortized over the 15-year period. For an estimated local share after the aid of $15.2 million, or on average about $1 million per year for 15 years. So that ends up being the local share, which translates to an impact for a $200,000 home of $45 a year after we're aligning that with debt that's falling off in 2022-23. So that was quite a bit, a lot of different pieces that we flow through there, but it's all strategically planned with capital work and trying to align it with when the local share of previous capital debt is falling off the books for the district in terms of when bringing on new capital debt to try to minimize that impact as a whole. So that's the layout of how the debt service will work for the capital project borrowing as well as building aid. And it's based off of the district's current aid, the rate ratio of 77.9% for our building aid, meaning we get back 78 cents on the dollar for each dollar spent. And as mentioned before, paid for over the 15-year period. So any questions on the flow of the debt and aid and how it works as a whole? And the $45 is for a $200,000 home. And if I mentioned $200,000, it's up on the screen here. It's assessed value, correct. Thank you. And projected new debt projected in 22-23. So it's this borrowing after a project approval can't take place in December 11th of 2019. There's a planning phase. There's cash flow analysis for the project in terms of when construction dollars are actually needed to do the work. So the actual long-term debt is not anticipated to take place until 2022-23. So that's the time period when it has the tax impact. So that wraps up the summary of the project. I'll turn it over to.
Well, again, I would just encourage those who are listening on December 10th, exercise your right to vote at Joanna Perrin from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Again, that's Joanna Perrin Middle School on December 10th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Back parking lot. Thank you, Mr. Sliss.
Okay, thank you. So that takes us to our last main section. We have policy first read. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
First to Tim, second Marty. Questions, comments about any of those? I had a couple. Am I going to be the only one? The procurement of goods and services. Is there a dollar limit at which this policy applies, or? Cause I didn't see one in the policy, didn't know if that was appropriate to have in there, or like under certain value.
This wasn't saying regulation.
So.
The regulation is where that normally happens.
Okay, sorry, then.
Because that regulation, I know that's been changed in the past.
Yes, and by law, some of it has gone up right to higher limits, and sorry, in my
So
work,
we're-
I do see where people don't change it in policy, and then they end up having to follow a more strict limit till they change their policy, right?
Correct, right. So we're governed by general municipal law on purchasing and the thresholds. So I believe it is in regulation. I can double check.
So, okay, well, no, you don't need to double check. I was wondering if it was, right, applies. So it does apply, but we put in regulation. On the investment side, so all these hitting you, Matt, I'm not trying to pick on you, right? I didn't see anything that allowed for, and we're not using it at the time, but it just seems, why not list everything that the law allows, like for a class or NILAF type investment options?
Yeah, we should consider having it's a good idea. Just should consider having a resolution maybe in the future or look in policy. So not a bad idea to look at.
Yeah, I just think, right, you have it listed
NILAF
as.
and, yep, New York Liquid Asset Fund and NICLAS or.
Right, I mean, you can use generic language, but those are the examples of, that we are not including those in our list. So should they be the right thing to be in, we wouldn't be allowed to be in it by
Correct.
policy.
Yeah, we'd have to do a separate resolution like we did a couple years ago when we added the insured cash sweep account.
Right.
And treasury bills when we did that.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if there's something you think we should put in, get it to the policy committee, we can add that at any time and just has to come back for a reading, we can do it on one reading. Or
Okay.
we can get it in there for the second reading. This is first reading, yeah. So, it's easy enough to add.
Is it easy enough? I know you all meet a lot, so I don't.
But I can look at other language that other districts have used as well, because I know some have added it.
Yeah, I mean, I have access to language, but if-
Yeah.
whichever. Okay, that's all my questions.
Not Bitcoin. Throw that out. No Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely no Bitcoin. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of these first readings?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, 6-0. Second readings, those we saw last meeting in October. Motion to approve. Joyce, second. Judy? Any questions, comments on these? Is it second reading? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-0. Appointment of alternate vote personnel. This is for the December 10th vote, or does this apply to both? Maybe it doesn't matter. Just tell. All right. Okay. So for December 10th, oh, it does say that in there. Right, motion. So motion to approve. Judy, second. Kevin? Questions, comments, concerns? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-0. Budget goals, we've looked at these last couple months. They're in the public content area. Need a motion to approve the goals for the 2020-2021 budget year. Joyce, second. Marty? Any further questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-0. Close that. And school-sponsored field trips. Coming up, a motion to accept or approve. Joyce first, Marty second. Questions or comments?
I actually did have one. I was just looking at the first field trip, and I was just trying to figure out what that was.
This
It's
is
the
grade 7 ELA? or-
grade 7 ELA going to Minerva DeLand?
That's correct. And it's a teacher's rendition of Christmas Carol.
Okay, and the cost comes from the busing?
It's
Or-
not from busing, it's from the Arts and Education Fund, from proceeds.
Exactly. They are providing the payment, but our cost for it is for the show itself?
The show itself.
Not the one across the street.
I was like, what are we
Yeah, that's a good
doing?
question. That's fair. That's fair.
Just if we were busing,
That's
I have
very-
questions. yeah.
The second one, I was reading it, and it does not tell me the destination. It says breakout games, but it didn't say where. I was confused with that. And it's already occurred. No, it hasn't occurred yet, but, and it just, I'm not sure where that is.
I'll have to get back to you on that off the top of my head.
Which one's that, Tim?
The second one.
Second one here,
It
right
says
there.
breakout games.
Grade 9th.
It doesn't say where.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
these
say where.
costs, when it says per student, that's the cost to us per student?
Yes.
If the student's not paying for anything?
Absolutely.
So I wasn't, it didn't say where.
Yeah.
So did you want that removed till next time, or?
Oh, no, I'm just.
Just want to know.
Yeah, just an email, just to update, that's fine.
Just
I
wanted-
have no problem approving these.
Okay.
Yep.
Any
What do
others?
they call it?
Yeah, no, just wanted to make sure I understood.
Mhm.
Not implying or anything. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, 6-0. And that brings us to comments from board members. Anybody want to make any comments? Come on, people, it's only 7:45.
That's a good comment right there.
That's
Well,
a-
that is a good comment. Some of us got to hear Dr. Kendi last night. That was an excellent presentation. Very happy that our Dream Club could attend, and saw other members of our faculty there as well. So it was a great night.
And I was seated right behind a row of students, and I noticed
Microphone, Joyce.
throughout that nobody had a phone in their hand during that whole presentation. They were glued to what was being said. There didn't seem to be, I mean, they were right in front of me, so I could, and then, of course, as soon as it was over, everybody's phone came out, but how wonderful that they did not look at them during the presentation.
How did you get a ticket?
Somebody had an extra.
I was wondering about your scalping skills suddenly.
There were people there outside trying to buy tickets.
Really, yeah. Sold out.
It was
Yeah,
Yes.
this one was terrific.
And glad you could attend. Thank you for making the effort. You have a comment?
I just wanted to say that there's policy 5410 that has the purchasing and bidding, so it's not the regulation. We do have a policy that's separate that has the thresholds.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry, no, I'm not for
Should-
comment, but
Should have that
And does it
memorized.
have what Pete wanted in it?
yeah, the 20,000 and 35,000 are the two
Oh, okay.
GML
Right,
thresholds.
for
It's
the
a
purchasing.
separate question, okay.
Right. The other question, okay. Any other comments? Or then happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you have,
Thanksgiving.
if you're traveling, safe travels to everyone, everywhere in the district, and we will see people probably tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Very good. Then need
Just
a
one
motion-
other thing,
Oh, yeah,
Pete, the
please.
ENO dinner at Brooks Hill is the Monday before
right.
Thanksgiving, so we're all invited to that. It's always a wonderful occasion. I'm glad to see it's still happening.
Yes. Thank you. Any other of those events, anything coming up we want to make sure people know about? Very good. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Tim, second. Everybody's fighting over it. We'll go Judy. All in favor? No opposed, 6-0.
For Damon.
You're voting first.
Two hands.